Were you born into a rich family? Tell me about your growing up.
I was born in a place called Lafiaji. I would say we became very low middle class. Things weren't so easy in Kwara State. Then moved to Oyo Town to live with my grandmother.
What was that trigger that made you see, okay, well, education is actually... Because the reason I'm asking this question is, what is going on in our society today, especially in Nigeria? The younger ones no longer believe that going to school pays.
You can spend 3-4 years of your life to play and you regret it for the rest of your life. Or you can dedicate these 3-4 years of your life to studying, sacrificing, and then you'll be proud of what you come out for the rest of your... I can never forget that word. I was fortunate to get a job with one of the leading banks in Nigeria. That was good, but then it also drew me back a bit, because I was comfortable. People shouldn't be afraid of taking risks. If I look back at my life, when I was younger, I would have taken more risk.
Mr. Bosun, I would like to start by letting you tell me who you are.
Okay, that's a good question, but I don't know where I should start from. My name is Bosun Amao. Some people call me Bossman, some people call me Bosun. I'm a project leader, at least, that's what I call myself, because I have the opportunity to lead people, especially in this part of the world. I'm a filmmaker, one of my passion. I'm also a real estate investor.
Thank you very much. I did a little research about you, and I must say that I'm very impressed. I can see you have your bachelor's degree from University of Ilorin in Nigeria, and you have Masters of Business Administration from Bologna Business School in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have numerous industry-related certifications, including your project management professional certified. You are a certified business analysis professional. You are a certified Scrum Master. You are a professional Scrum Master certified PSM. You are a Prince 2 certified. And you are a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified.
Yeah.
This is impressive.
Thank you.
Looking back in all of these things, how do you feel, achieving all of these things?
I feel great, I feel fulfilled. Because one thing is to set a target for yourself, to achieve some things. Another thing is to be able to achieve them. So I always say when I look back, always grateful, for the opportunity, to set some of these goals and to be able to walk through them to achieve them. It's not easy, but, with hard work and, commitment, consistency, I've been able to get where I am.
Yeah, this is actually very inspiring. I'm sure a lot of younger ones looking at you, when they look at you, all they see is the success.
Yeah.
And in addition to all the things that I've mentioned, I also see that you are a member of the senior leadership in one of the financial institutions here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So when they look at you, they see the success. And behind that are numerous years of hard work and all of those things. Well, I wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. Were you born into a rich family? Tell me about your growing up.
Okay, thank you for asking. A few years back, I was doing some work with someone, maybe volunteering. I was back in Nigeria, and I told someone about my background, and the person said, well, he thought that I was from, a ritual, that the way I talk and what I was doing. So he couldn't believe my story, but, I was born into, what we call a middle class family. But, in Nigeria, there are many levels of middle classes, So maybe we're middle class when I was born, but as Nigeria was getting, good, quote and unquote, I would say we became, I would say, very low middle class.
Yeah.
Things weren't so easy. I was born in a place called Lafiaji in Kwara State. Then moved to Oyo Town to live with my grandmother for like 3 years or 4 years of my life before going back to Ilorin. So I grew up in Ilorin. We didn't have so much, but I'm thankful to God because I had the very disciplined parents, hardworking parents who were respected in the community. And the way we grew up then is that you look up to your parents, if they are trustworthy, if they are sincere, if they have integrity, you want to also live like that as well.
Absolutely.
And I have siblings who were also, doing well. We were very close. We were all boys. I was also looking up to them, So we didn't have so much, but, what I would say we had was that, integrity growing up, the hard work in the family, that mindset to always push and know that if you work hard, something good, can come. So, that's basically, my background. I can talk about my education as well if you want, but
Exactly, right on. Yeah, I was gonna ask, your education, because you have a lot of, you are well educated, you have a lot of professional qualifications.
Yeah.
I just want to know, how your growing up kind of influenced, all of these things, and what was that trigger that made you see, okay, well, education is actually, because the reason I'm asking this question is, what is going on in our society today, especially in Nigeria? The younger ones no longer believe that, going to school pays. Everybody believes in shortcut and all of those things.
Yeah.
So listening to somebody like you who, went to school, well educated, and today you are doing well for yourself, is actually going to inspire the younger ones to look up and believe that really it pays.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I had my primary school in, Kwara State Polytechnic, it was a staff school back then. Then from there, I went to CNS College in Ilorin. To be candid, I would see myself as average when I was in secondary school, not because I didn't have the potential, but because I think I played too much, I wouldn't read. But my brothers, my elder brothers, I have 3 of them were doing very well. My immediate elder brother, who is late now, was more like a genius, and people will always compare me with him, So at that point, I felt like I was average. I won't do well in some, But when I got to SS2, that's what we call like grade 11.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking in the class, and I wanted to read a particular course because I didn't want to study hard. And I saw some ladies saying they wanted to read medicine and, I can't. And I thought to myself, if they could, decide to do that, why am I running away from, So around when I was in SS2, I decided to take my school, my academics a bit seriously.
Yeah.
And the turnaround was, for me, magic, It was like being one of the worst in mathematics to being one of the best, in maths.
And that was within high school.
Within high school. So even though I didn't get to where I wanted to get to, but then it told me something that, if I put my mind into it. And then what I believed back then is that if I have brothers around me who are doing well, who were born from the same womb, we have the same gene, then I could probably do it as well.
Yeah.
But it was when I was doing my A-levels that I decided to, push it up a bit, by reading, studying, reviewing my act. And the result that came out to it was was outstanding. So when I was getting into the university, my immediate elder brother told me something. He said you can spend 3-4 years of your life to play and you regret it for the rest of your life, or you can dedicate these 3-4 years of your life to studying, sacrificing, and then you'll be proud of what you come out for the rest of your. I can never forget that word. Because
very powerful.
I went into my undergraduate with, I was like, if one person would be the best in this class, it has to be me. And I'm proud of what I came out with. And then, because I saw what I came out with, I knew that, if I put myself into this thing, I will be unbeatable. I was fortunate to get a job with one of the leading banks in Nigeria, and that was good. But then he also drew me back a bit, because I was comfortable. I wasn't pushing myself anymore until maybe after working for a few years, I said, no, I'm more than this. And that's when I left to do my MBA in Bologna Business School in Italy. And then, from them, I came to Canada and I said, man, whatever it will take, I just have to keep improving myself, So sometimes, twice or thrice in a year, I'm doing certifications,
Wow.
Even when I didn't have a job, I was spending a lot on certification. But when I look back, I'm always grateful that I did that, I've paused a bit in the last few years because of some of my businesses and, filmmaking project here and there. I'm planning to do one this year again,
So viewers, watch out for the.
So that's been the journey. I mean, there are challenges here and there are stories here and there, but over the years, like I said, with hard work, tenacity, being disciplined, and sacrifice,
And I really want to give shout out to your brother who really inspired you to. I think we have a similar story because I was also inspired by my brother.
Wow.
So shout out to him. Viewers, you really nailed it. Hard work pays. And I'm glad you're telling this story today. I would like to know, there are a lot of younger ones listening to us, watching this podcast, who will be aspiring to get to your position and all of those things. What message do you have for them?
Well, I think I'll go back to some of the things I said. One of them is to be ready and willing to pay the price.
I like that.
Yeah. Nothing comes easy. People are looking for, like the fast lane or getting things fast these days. And I can share a story if you don't mind, because I like sharing it with people, especially when they come in here and I have to mentor them, in looking for jobs. When I finished my my undergraduate degrees, I came out with a very good grade, but I knew what Nigeria looked like. Most people will say you have to know people to get job. I didn't know people. The few I could get, I tried to use them. It wasn't working. So I knew that, maybe there are prices, that probably I have to pay. One of the first things I did was to leave where my parents was living to Lagos. We weren't in Lagos, but it wasn't easy. I will leave that particular side of the story. But it wasn't easy. It was a lot of sacrifice. My mom wanted me to come back to Ilorin to take a teaching job because as a mother, they will not want you to suffer.
Exactly.
But I knew the life that I wanted, and I knew that I couldn't go back to. And I have nothing against teaching job. It wasn't. I had big goals, and I knew that going back to a small city and taking a teaching job, may draw me back. So I had to live where it was uncomfortable. There are weeks or months that I will have no money on me, and I had to survive.
But you had an objective.
I had an objective. May 2023, I think 2003, I would say, was my birthday. I woke up with 20 naira on me. I went to church and dropped the 20 naira. When I came back, some kids in the community came, they bought gifts for me and they wanted me to buy something for them, but I had no money on me. But then I knew that I had to pay that price at that point in time. But one thing I was doing that then, back then there wasn't internet access like we have it now. Even though I said I didn't have money, whatever I could gather, I would buy Guardian on Tuesday and Guardian just to look for jobs.
Tuesday
exactly. And what I said that time is that if I don't find anything that I qualify for, if it's 0, I must send 3 applications, handwritten, my resume, my CV photocopied, and I will walk to Yaba post office to post it. So there are days where I would write 10, 15 applications. It wasn't easy,
10, 15 per day?
A day, yeah.
Wow.
And I will go and post it,
That's strong determination.
So I will get to the last stage of interviews and I was getting a lot discouraged, but when the right one came, it was big. And why I tell that story to people is that, don't just, people will tell me that, they've applied to 2 or 3 places, it's not working, we are not getting jobs, I couldn't do that at that time. And when I came to Canada, that's what I, deployed again, and it worked. So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of sacrifice, but what I'm saying is that, if I would tell anyone that will come to me now is to be ready to pay the price no matter how hard it is, to, stay consistent, and to believe in themselves, and whatever they are reaching out to, they will get it.
Excellent. I really love this. I was going to ask you about your, I was going to ask you to connect this to your experience immigrating to Canada as well. Yeah. You seem to have touched on it, but maybe if you want to just touch on it, what's your, immigration experience relating to persevering and finding the right thing? Because to be honest with you, one thing that happens here is when people immigrate, they want, we are human beings. I know we want things to work and all of that. We need to understand that everything is a process, right? You're moving from system A to system B that is completely different. And when you talk about the process, people don't want to listen. So I just want you to touch on that area relating it to Canada.
Yeah. That's a very good question as well. When people ask me, what would be the biggest risk I've taken in my life, I think is moving over to Canada. I had a relatively good job back in Nigeria, My wife was also doing well, it was like, building the kind of family that you would love. And then for various reasons, which I wouldn't want to talk about, or I may not talk about, we decided to move. And most of my family members didn't support me. And it's because they loved me. It was like, you are building a good life in Nigeria. Why do you want to come start all over again? But I knew what I wanted, especially for my kids. One thing that I did when we were first moving was to say that I was thinking I was going to bury my dreams to build my daughter's dream. I thought that would be the worst case. But when I got here and I saw the opportunities that abound, I said, okay, I can build their dreams and build mine as well. And when I came, like you said, I had to go through the process, and the process wasn't easy. I won't lie to you.
I know.
It wasn't easy because, like I said, okay, I want to pursue my dreams. I want to get to the, to the peak, to the height of, my career as much as possible. And adapting to what I had in Nigeria to here wasn't so easy. So it involved, going to school, doing courses, and I spent a lot of money, like I said, on certification, on courses. I paid him to train with him, not because I wanted to train with him. I just wanted to make him a mentor. So I paid money just to have his attention. And it was good because he paid in the long run. We are still friends now because I could call him anytime, Sometimes he still calls me for help now because I've moved past where I was. But the thing is that when I was going through this process, people really... I heard people said a lot of things. People said I was wasting money on certifications, on education. I tell you,
really?
There was a time I booked a ticket of $1,000 to go do interview in Toronto. And someone told me, said, you don't even know if you get the job and you are spending $1,000. But I knew what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I knew that every step, is just a process to get to where I want to get to. Every step, no matter what, is a learning point. It didn't come in 1, 2, 3 years, but I was determined that even if it will take 5 years, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to get to, and I, we do anything to get to it. And I think it was along the line that we met as well.
Yeah.
so you were part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, it was a process, it was determination. And when I tell people these days, I don't know, some people will not listen because they will think that you are just telling their stories. But the good thing is that I can count 1, 2, 3 people that will sit down, share the same story with, and they will replicate the model and it's working to them. Some are doing better than me because they look at the model that I gave them and they try to replicate it. So it's a process, it's a journey. It may not take a year. It may come in 6 months. It may take more than 1 year, more than 2 years. But as much as you keep at it, you keep focused, you're ready to sacrifice, pay the price. The sky is just the limit.
This is very, very interesting. Listening to you, what is coming to my head is from Ilorin to becoming a management staff in one of the financial institutions in Canada. Yeah. Too many untold stories behind his success. So I'm really impressed. I'm sure you've made your brother proud, made your family proud, you've made our community proud as well. Because, back then, it was looking more like it wasn't something very common to find people, immigrants from Nigeria getting into the management position in some of these financial institutions. Yeah. Well, here we are today. We have you there, and a lot of other folks representing. Yeah. That's a very big one. So as we wrap up now, just before I get to my next question, in the Chronicles of a Professional, where we sit with professionals like you to tell their stories behind success, we usually have a game, that we play, where I will walk you through the rules of the game, and then there are a couple of other personal questions therein. Are you ready for the game?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so before the game, are there other things that you would like to tell my viewers that I haven't actually touched?
Well, a couple of things, one is I try to tell people as much as possible, not to, settle for less, especially when they are, anywhere, but then when they are going to other countries, it's like I said, when I was coming, because of what people said, I was going to bury my own dreams. And I see that when people come, they either settle for less or they give up too easily, and people live the life that they don't want to live. There are many opportunities in this part of the world, we have to do the work, but then we can get to where we want to get to. And one thing that I also want to say is this, because it's easier for me to say sometimes people struggle along the way. One thing that people shouldn't shy away from, we are not used to it, is mentoring. You see people there are people I've mentored for free. There are people that I've mentored through some of the programs that we have. Like I said, there are people I paid just to get that mentorship from them. So if people need to get mentors, a week ago I met someone who's been here for a while, and what he's doing, he can easily transfer that skills into working in a structured environment. But he's been struggling, and I told him, if you ask the right question, people will put you in the right path. And I told him I will connect you with someone, and I'm sure something good will come out of it. So people shouldn't, overlook the part of mentoring. But one of the last thing I want to say is this, people shouldn't be afraid of taking risk. If I look back at my life, when I was younger, I would have taken more risk.
Interesting. Okay, I'm sure if we continue, you know how to. So let's do it.
Okay.
So I have these 3 cups here, and this is the ball.
Okay.
So I have questions in each of the cups.
Oh.
Yes. So you're going to roll this ball.
Okay.
Whichever cup you hit, the question in there is what I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Ready to go?
If he doesn't hit anyone,
no, you have
I don't have to answer.
3 trials. No, you have to hit one.
Okay.
You have 3 trials to go.
Okay.
There you go. Oh my God. Okay. So. Okay. Number 1 question here. Who is your role model? I know you talked about it, when you were telling your story. Who is your role model?
That's hard, but I'll say I will give that to my dad, my father.
Wow, that's good. Okay, if there is one thing you would like to change in Nigeria and you have the power to do so, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a difficult question, because one thing that I can change, if there's one thing that I can change, and if I can pick that as one thing, is if I can change a poverty level in Nigeria, I don't know if that's one thing, if I can empower people, because I know with empowerment, a lot of things, honestly, a lot of things because people are poor, because people are in abject poverty, there are a lot of things I want to do that we may not be able to do. You can't build a society when people are hungry.
That's a good one. Okay, so somebody who knew you were coming sent a question, and the question is, he said, ask Bosun what movie is he working on right now?
That's interesting.
What should we be expecting? What's the next big one for you?
Well, there's something that is currently in the work, I'm working with one of my mentors.
Okay.
And I'm excited about it. It's a production that will be shot later this year in Nigeria and Kenya.
Wow.
So maybe in the next 2-3 weeks I will be in Nairobi. So that's one thing that is under work, But outside of that, I'm looking at doing something epic as well, something that will be purely Nigerian language and, in all form.
Excellent. On this note, Mr. Boss, I would like to thank you very much for making our time to be here.
Thank
And
you
I'm
so
sure
much.
in the future we'll invite you to
Sure.
discuss some other topics.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.